Hello, boys and girls. We're going to be looking at tables today, about patterns in tables. So we're going to review some words, important words that we'll need to know as we study this unit. Tables are information organized in rows and columns. This should be in there, little typo. It includes words and numbers. Tables can be vertical, which is up and down, and horizontal, which is left to right. So they're always organized in rows and columns though. So here's an example of a horizontal one, and here's an example of a vertical one. Horizontal is left to right, and vertical is up and down. But they represent the same information. You'll just see them in different ways. You'll just see them either horizontally or vertically. Okay? The two numbers in a number pair are related by a rule. A rule describes how the first number in a pair is made into the second number. So here's an example of two sets of number pair. Now the word pair means two. You have just like you have a pair of eyes, you have two. You have a pair of hands, you have a pair of feet, a pair of shoes. They call it a pair of glasses because you have two holes to look through. You have a pair of ears. Those are all examples of pairs. If your teacher tells you get in pairs, you're going to get in groups of two, sets of two. Okay, so 12 and 17, that's a pair. 10 and 6, that's a pair. So if somebody were to ask you what is the relationship between each number pair, you would have to find how those two numbers are connected. The word relationship means how something is connected to each other. So numbers are connected in many, many different ways. And here they want to know how these two numbers are connected. So for example, how did they get from 12 to 17? So let's look from 12 to 17. Put a little arrow here. How did they get there? The numbers increased. So let's look down here real quick, and then we'll come back to this to see how these are related to each other, how they're connected. If the numbers are increasing, remember increasing means it's going up, the rule will be either addition or multiplication. Why? Because those two operations make your numbers increase. If you're adding or multiplying, your answer will always increase because you are either joining objects or you're joining groups of objects. So they will always increase and they will get bigger. If the numbers are decreasing, the rule will be either subtraction or division. Why? Because those two operations make your numbers go down. They make your numbers decrease. When you subtract, you're separating objects. If you're dividing, you're separating groups of objects. So those are the rules for the number pairs. So let's go back to these number pairs. From 12 to 17, is it increasing or decreasing? That's right, it is increasing. And by how much? So if it's increasing, little arrow here, we know it has to be either addition or, what was the other one? Multiplication, right? Because those two make your numbers increase. Now, there's nothing that I can multiply by 12 to get to 17. So it has to be addition. So from 12 to 17, I added how many? I added 5. So my rule here is plus 5. 5 more, because 12 plus 5 is 17. Now you could go the other way. How do they get from 12 to, how do they get from 17 to 12? It would be the opposite. You would subtract 5, because 17 minus 5 is 12. And over here, how do they get from 10 to 6? Now here they increased, right? What about here? Here, it decreased. How do they get from 10 to 6? What is the relationship? What is the rule? It would be minus 4, because we know that 10 minus 4 is 6. And if you want to do the opposite way, you can, which would be, what's the opposite of minus 4? Plus 4. Because 6 plus 4 is 10. Okay, now that we got those words, we practice some the meaning of those words. We're going to do one problem together. Okay, let me read the question. It says, Ms. Chavero made a table to show the number of apples needed for different numbers of baskets. So a table always has a title. So this is called apples for baskets, the number of baskets, and then the number of apples. So here are the number of baskets, and here are the number of apples that go in those baskets. And the question says, which of the following statements is true? So we're going to have to read each statement and see which one is correct. Now, here, these, remember we learned about the number pairs. These are number pairs. I'm just going to put these parentheses, because remember, a pair has two. Those are all number pairs. Okay, and so we're looking at from 2 to 8, from 4 to 10, from 6 to 12, from 8 to 14. What is the rule? What happened with each one? Well, what is happening to the numbers? Remember, if the numbers are increasing, it's either addition or multiplication. If they're decreasing, it's either subtraction or division. So from 2 to 8, 4 to 10, 6 to 12, and 8 to 12, and 8 to 14, we know that they're increasing. So it has to be either addition or multiplication. Okay, so someone might think, well, it's times 4 because 2 times 4 is 8, which is correct. So if you think it's a certain rule, you have to keep going, because if it's true for one number pair, it has to be true for all the number pairs. So if you think it's times 4, let's try it with this one. Is 4 times 4 10? No, 4 times 4 would be 16. So it cannot be multiplication. It must be addition. So let's give that a try. 2 plus what will give me 8? That's right, 2 plus 6 will give me 8. So 2 plus 6 is 8. And I like to put a little check mark just so I know that I checked that rule and it came out correct. So now we got to try the rule for all of them. Otherwise, it can't be right. 4 plus 6 is 10. That's right. 6 plus 6 is 12. That's right. 8 plus 6 is 14, which is correct. So what is my rule? Rule, and I like to put my rule somewhere so I know that I already did it. My rule is plus 6. The relationship between my input and my output is plus 6. And that's something else that you should always label. This one here, the first one is called the input, and the second column is called the output. You put a number in, and when we added 6, it gave us the output. So now let's look at the answer choices to see which one is true, because that's what it said. Which of the following statements is true? A, the number of baskets plus 6. So this one said plus 6 equals the number of apples, which is what we got, isn't it? We got plus 6, so question mark. But we should check all of them just to make sure. B says the number of baskets minus 6 equals the number of apples. No, it would be minus 6 if we're going the opposite way. The number of apples minus 6 equals the number of baskets, right? But that's not what it says. So that one's not it. The number of baskets times 6. So here they multiplied equals the number of apples. So that's not correct. And D says not here. You would only choose not here if you did not find your answer, which we did find our answer, and it is A. Okay, that's all for today. We'll see you next time.